Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. I've got a story for you which separates Kamala Harris and President Trump, and it's all you need to know about these two candidates. And in many respects, it's surprising because we know Kamala Harris is a witch with a B. There's no doubt about it. But she proved herself to be just that with this one question that was asked of her. Now, President Trump was also asked the very same question. His response proved to me what a gentleman this guy is, what a statesman this guy is. And many people, those on the left especially, don't look at President Trump as a gentleman, as a statesman. They look at him as brash. But I'm going to tell you his answer to this question tells you why I think he would make a better president and why Kamala Harris is a vindictive witch with a B. You want to know what the question was? The question was very simple. Name 3 positive virtues about your opponent. Name 3 good things about your opponent. Now, I have to admit, I have a hard time coming up with 3 good things about Kamala Harris. I'll try to do it. I'll try to answer the question. But Kamala Harris, her answer to this made her look really, really bad. So, folks, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to play for you their answers. And then, how about this guy in Arkansas? Arrested for shooting and killing his 14-year-old daughter's kidnapper. He's 67 years old, the guy that kidnapped his 14-year-old daughter. Should he face murder charges? It's a possibility out of Arkansas. Then another Arkansas man arrested, 4 cops barging into his home for piercing his son's ear. His son says, hey, I wanted my ear pierced. We'll talk about that. Craziness taking over this country, which is why we need President Trump in office. GrantStinchfield.com, of course, is my website. Head there to sign up for the email list. But before we start the show, I want to tell you about a new sponsor of ours, TakeLean.com. Folks, I'm going to tell you, if you want to lose a lot of weight, now this is not for the casual dieter. This is for someone who wants to lose 10 pounds or more. So we know that these weight loss drugs can be totally dramatic. The shots, right? But a lot of people don't have the money for the shots. There is an option. If you want to lose weight and you don't have the money for these shots, the weight loss supplement Lean can help you. It is called Lean. Results are remarkable. TakeLean.com. The studied ingredients in Lean have been shown to lower your blood sugar, burn fat, converting it to energy, curb your appetite cravings, so you're not hungry when you take Lean. But listen, not for the casual dieter, as I said. You got to want to lose up to 10 pounds or more. TakeLean.com. To get started, I got you 15% off. All you have to do is use the promo code GRANT, okay? Put Lean into your healthy diet and your exercise plan, and you're going to love it. Visit TakeLean.com. TakeLean.com. Use the promo code GRANT for 15% off. You're not going to regret it. All right, let's get this show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, so Univision holds separate town halls, one with President Trump, one with Kamala Harris. They were interesting to watch. They were typical town halls, except one woman, the same woman, by the way, asked one question of both candidates. That question was, name something positive about your opponent. It's a great question, really, because this is where it separates the men from the boys. You're going to be petty, and you're going to only criticize your opponent and say you can't come up with something, or you're going to find something redeeming. I would offer this. Everybody, even the most evil people in the world, even the most murderous, nasty, drug-dealing, whatever person, you got to be able to come up with one redeeming quality, I would think. 3 may be a little harder when it comes to Kamala Harris, but President Trump did it. So first off, I want to play you the Kamala Harris clip, because to me it solidifies exactly who she is. An evil, vindictive, mean-spirited witch with a B, which is why we titled the podcast that. I'm sorry if it offends anybody. Tough noogies, all right? This is the question on Univision. There's the nervous laugh. So now you know she doesn't have an answer. So her nervous laugh, what I'm figuring out is this is a buy time maneuver. The cackling witch. She's buying time. She doesn't buy enough time for her. This wasn't the question. The question wasn't to criticize your opponent. The question was, Say something nice about your opponent. Can you say something nice about your opponent? It's very, very simple. We're now over a minute into this, and she's not said one nice thing about President Trump. Come on. I don't know you, Kamala Harris, but I could try to come up with something nice about you. You have to be, well, President Trump summed up 3 very good things. I don't think I would have come up with them. This would have been a very difficult question for me. So I know it's difficult for Kamala Harris, but I could say nice things about President Trump. He's a brilliant business mind. He's built a huge company. That the ability to critical think is amazing. His level of common sense. And now she's not going to say any of these things because it gets back to politics. I think his love of family is fine, but you could say that about anybody. I mean, even a serial killer probably loves his family. So that's not a great one. It didn't take any creativity to come up with that. She ends up finishing this question saying, I don't know. Can't say anything less other than he loves his family. Well, who doesn't love their family? I mean, I got a liberal mother and father. I still love them tremendously. Just because we disagree and I think they're lost all of their marbles and have no common sense, I still love my family. I hope they're not listening. Pop, sorry if you are. I'm not sorry. I'm disappointed in that you don't believe in the things that I believe in. But that's for another podcast. All right, so that's her answer. Now, that says a lot about a person, that they can't be gracious, even in a moment of all this heat. Now, this gets to the Al Smith dinner, right? Last night, this big Catholic charity in New York that is a tradition for men and people running for the presidency to come in and have a moment of levity, a moment of putting the campaign aside, have some fun. Yes, you do poke fun at your opponent, but it's all in good spirits. She didn't show up to that. She can't do it because she's evil and mean-spirited. She is a witch with a B. Now, all of this tells me I don't want her as president. I don't want a vindictive witch with a B to be president of the United States. I think they'll go after political opponents, as we've seen with President Trump. I think they do not have the best interest of all Americans. She only has the best interest, not even of Democrats at heart. She has the best interest of her and her cronies at heart, and that is power and a quest for it. And she doesn't care who she hurts or steps on to get there, which is why she doesn't have the grace inside her. And that's what it is. It's grace. She doesn't have the grace inside her to come up with one thing nice about President Trump other than he loves his family. Now, President Trump was asked the very same question.
Se me hace justo hacerle exactamente la misma pregunta que le hice a la candidata demócrata.
Good evening, Mr. President. I only think it's fair to ask the same question I posed the Democrat candidate.
¿Cuáles son las 3 virtudes que usted reconoce en la vicepresidenta Kamala Harris?
What are the 3 virtues that you see in Vice President Kamala Harris?
That's a very hard question. That's the toughest question. The other ones are easy.
So even in President Trump's response there is honesty. Kamala Harris starts laughing and stalling for time. She doesn't want to admit that a question is tough because when you have a lack of confidence, you don't ever want to admit that something is tough for you. President Trump has all the confidence in the world. He can admit when there's a tough question, and that's exactly what he did. Again, endearing to me.
Look, I'm not a fan. I think she's harmed our country horribly.
So he starts to go the same road Kamala Harris does. But I want you to watch what he does. Because this is him being smart and him thinking on his feet and realizing that the criticisms was not the question, that he better come up with something. And what he comes up with is quite amazing, really.
Horribly at the border, with inflation, with so many other things. But she seems to have an ability to survive. She seemed, because, she was out of the race and all of a sudden she's running for president. That's a great ability that some people have and some people don't have. She seems to have some pretty long time friendships, and that's also that's I don't call that an ability. I call that a good thing. And she seems to have a nice way about her. I mean, I like the way some of her statements, some of her the way she behaves in a certain way. But in another way, I think it's very bad for our country, very bad for our country. But she does seem to have some relationships that be lasting, and she does seem to be a survivor. Because remember, she was the first one out, and all of a sudden she's running for president, and the other 21 people that are running, they're sitting home watching her on television, right? So that's by far the toughest question I've had today. Thank you very much.
I appreciate your answer.
He gave her an answer. He was honest. He says, look, I don't have a lot of positive things to say. It's really hard. I don't like her. But then what did he do? He says, she has an ability to make long-lasting relationships. Not everybody has that. I mean, even myself, I like to say, I live in Dallas. I've been here 22 years. I tell people, I know everybody in Dallas. I know everybody. I can go out and I say, hi, oh, yeah. But I don't have real long relationships with everybody. I only have a very few handful of really good, true friends. 3 or 4. That's it, of true, good, long-lasting friends. I got a million people that I could call up and check in with, that I'd see out at dinner, happy to have a cocktail with. But I don't have 3 or 4 really good friends. Probably only 2 of them would come bail me out if I ever got arrested. It is something to say if you have long-lasting relationships, you stay in touch with them for a long time. That is something to be said. And her being a survivor, make no mistake about it, that is a quality of hers. Think about what she orchestrated here. She comes in, 15th place in the primaries. She ends up getting picked to be the vice presidency, whether it's a DEI hire or not. What's the difference? In her mind, she got it. Okay? Our minds, we know it's a DEI hire. She got it because of the color of her skin and that she is a woman. We know that. So now you have Kamala Harris as the vice president. She orchestrates the greatest coup of all time. She doesn't even have to run in a primary. She's just handed the nomination. That is a survivor. Now, we can criticize the process, call it a coup, all those things, but President Trump is right. She's a survivor. Now, President Trump, she has a nice way about her things. I just have not seen that. President Trump, you're very gracious. It's nice of you to say kind things about your opponent. She never would say anything kind about you. And the proof is she didn't say anything kind about you. It's a fact. It really, really is. All right. I want to talk a little bit about where voters are here, and then we're going to talk about this man in Arkansas. But this goes into what happened last night, because I think voters will see how President Trump reacted compared to how Kamala Harris reacted, and it says everything you need to know about whether or not someone should be president or not. But before I do that, folks, I want to tell you about my friends over at NFN8. It's a company that specializes in institutional Bitcoin mining. You can invest with them, okay, and you can lock in to 21% annualized interest paid monthly. So if you want to get involved in the Bitcoin craze, but you don't want these wild fluctuations, get21now.com is your answer. I love it. I've invested with them. Every month I get my money direct deposited into my bank account like clockwork. This is a fabulous, fabulous situation for me. It provides me cash flow. At 21%, by the way, I could buy a business and I'm not going to get 21% on my money buying a business, and I got to deal with payroll and headaches and rent and all this stuff. Here, I just make the initial investment, and the next thing you know, I'm getting a monthly check, and it's been great. They've lived up to every single one of their promises. 21% annualized interest paid monthly. I'm telling you, you can't beat it. By the way, you will not have to pay capital gains on any of this. At the end of the investment term, you will not have unrealized gains at the end of the investment term or during, as Kamala Harris wants to do. So it's a nice hedge there. But give them some time to get back to you, all right? They're very busy. This is very popular right now. Get21now.com, get21now.com. Fill out the form. The people I know will actually get back to you, okay? This is not just some sales guy that calls you back. This is the top people. Call them back if they call you, okay? I promise you, you will not regret it. Get21now.com. Take control of your future. Get21now.com. Get21now.com. All right. This was fascinating. So we've got voters now in North Carolina and Arizona that both MSNBC and CBS go to a local diner. Now, these are swing states, North Carolina, Arizona, very important states. They're looking, and you know they're looking for Kamala Harris voters. They can't find any. They can't find any. This is on MSNBC in Arizona, okay?
We did not find a single person who audibly would tell us that they voted for Kamala Harris. These were Trump supporters getting out to vote early in the all-important Mojave County. Take a listen to some of our conversations.
Now, just the sheer fact that he admitted that on MSNBC. I don't know whether they're trying to rally the troops in North Carolina and scare them into action, but the fact that MSNBC admits this, to me, again, is the media realizing their candidate's on the ropes. They're grasping at saving any sign of credibility. And why they didn't just scuttle the story, because, well, I'll tell you what I would have done after you listen to some of this. If me, as a conservative who is also a reporter that tried to be unbiased when I worked in mainstream media, and remember, I worked at NBC, if I was tasked with this story and I couldn't find a single Trump supporter, I'm going to tell you what I would have done here. But watch this.
Well, the difference is going to be that everybody's coming out early, and everybody that we talked to has made a special effort this year to vote, and you can see it here in the parking lot. You know, this library's usually got 5 cars in it. There's a ton of cars in it now.
Said you voted early for the first time.
For the first time.
Why did you vote early this year?
Honestly, because Donald Trump told me to.
What a good answer.
He keeps saying it, and I've been thinking about it, and so here I am.
We met one man who did not vote in 2020, but he said he was horrified by the state of the country, so he is voting here in 2024. We met 3 other voters, one that moved from California, one that moved from Oregon, blue states, who said that they moved here and were eager to vote in a state where Donald difference. And so it's those types of voters that not only Republicans are watching come to the polls, but also Democrats have a close eye, understanding that they need to really win the Maricopa County area to make up for any potential juicing of turnout here among the MAGA faithful in places like Mojave County, Jose.
All right, so what's interesting here, he talked about people moving from California and Oregon into this is Arizona. There was a time, and I live in Texas, we had a lot of Californians moving here. We still do. In the beginning, it was all liberals. They were all liberals moving to Texas, and I don't even think they quite realized why they wanted to move to Texas. Oh, it's a better job. Oh, the cost of living's cheaper. They didn't realize it was politics that provided for the better job, the real estate that was cheaper, the better job market, the better economy. They didn't realize that it was liberals killing California. So we had liberals flocking to Texas for selfish reasons. They wanted a better life, but they didn't understand that it's because we're a red state. That's why they were having a better life. Now, the liberals that are moving from California and Oregon to places like Texas and Arizona are the ones that were trying to stay there and fight it out. They thought maybe they could win it for their states. They now realize they can't win. They've given up. So now we have California conservatives, Oregon, Washington, conservatives moving to places like Texas and Arizona. This is a big shift. This is why I think Texas is going to only get more red, not more blue, especially as Hispanics start to realize the Democrats don't have it in their best interest. Now, I told you, what would I do if I was given this story? Okay, if I was NBC and I said, go out there and you know that they want to hype up Kamala, what would I do? Well, clearly 2 reporters, one at MSNBC, one at CBS, didn't do what I would have done, and I'm going to tell you after this.
You eat grits?
I love grits.
Grit is what they all say Trump has.
We're better off when Trump was in than we are today.
Because prices were lower.
Everything was better.
You got the immigrants, you got the economy, you got the wars overseas. We don't really feel like right now that we have anybody at all looking after all this. We need somebody to take command.
So I want you to just look at her face. Look at her face. That's the reporter, okay? Look at her face. She is so upset about this story.
Somebody to take command.
Nearly everyone we spoke to at Country Kitchen wanted Trump back in the White House.
If we get Trump, we got hope. If we get Kamala, we don't have any hope. It's gone.
It's gone.
Country's gone.
It's gone. She says, really? What do you mean it's gone? I live in a penthouse in New York, and I love working at CBS. What do you mean it's gone? It's gone. It's over. We're on the track of self-destruction because we have idiots in this country that elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris into office in the first place, and they literally destroyed everything Trump put in place to keep us moving in the right track. So she, of course, is shocked by this. She said something else, which is fascinating. This is a reporter trick. She said nearly everyone we spoke to was for Trump. Well, if she had someone she spoke to was for Kamala, I promise you it would have been in this story. It wasn't. She didn't have anybody that was for Kamala. She still said nearly, which is a little bit of a lie. Now, what would I have done if I'm working for NBC and they say, Grant, you're tasked with going to Arizona and North Carolina and go to a bar and give us the state of the race. And you know that the bosses want Kamala Harris to be out on top. Now, I have always been a conservative since I was a kid, okay? And my parents will back me up on this. Always. I go into the mainstream media. I prided myself on being an unbiased reporter, but here's how I got my bias in. By how I chose stories. The way I chose to cover stories was how I got my bias in. Give you an example. You got a housing project in the Bronx, okay, that was the worst, nastiest, smelliest, drug-infested housing project you can imagine, and they turned it around. Well, how do they turn it around? Private developer comes in. They make everybody sign leases. No drugs. If you've got drugs, we're going to shut the playground down. If we get anybody dealing drugs on the playground, the whole playground gets shut down. They gave people garden plots. You had to grow things. They embraced the idea of ownership in this community and self-reliance on each other to police the playground. They turn this housing project around. So what do? I go and do a story on the housing project, how private enterprise can do better than government every time. Now, it was an unbiased story because I just told the story, but it's a story the mainstream media would never tell, right? So that's one example. If I was in this situation, I can't find a Kamala supporter. Say I was in this situation, I went and it was all Kamala supporters, and I can't find a Trump supporter. And I know that Trump's my guy, but I don't want to be unbiased. And so I don't want to be biased. So I don't want to make it up. I call them up and be like, I can't get in any diner. Or I say, no one wants to talk to me. It's the oddest thing. No one wants to talk to me. Maybe they'd send me someplace else the next day, but I'd keep going to places until I could find Trump supporters. You better believe that. I wouldn't file this report. Now, that alone would be devious, but I'm still a human being, just like they're human beings. They're all liberals, which is why, in many respects, they probably believe what they're doing is all part of the fight. Or they're just so dumb they put a story like this up and don't even try to cover for the fact that nobody's voting for Kamala. I'm shocked we got these stories because I would have scuttled it. I would have not done the story if I couldn't find a Trump supporter. I would not have done that story. No way, shape, no way, no how. All right. I want to talk about this guy in Arkansas, and then I'm going to play some clips from the Al Smith dinner because I thought it was absolutely fabulous, the Al Smith dinner. But before I do that, I want to tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. I've been telling you about them for a long time. You know, I have a Patriot Mobile phone. I'm so proud that I have a Patriot Mobile phone. I have two lines on here, two different networks on here. So if I'm in one city and one network doesn't work, like if AT&T doesn't work, I got a Verizon line on here. So all of that is about being prepared for anything. And I got two lines for business. It works great as well. This is called the Patriot One plan. One phone, two lines. Even more than that, though, Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They're the wireless provider for James O'Keefe. They're the wireless provider for Grant Stinchfield. I believe my very good friend Dana Lash, also with Patriot Mobile. You see the theme here? They support people like us and the message. And one of the reasons they advertise on podcasts like this is not just to get the word out to you to get a Patriot Mobile phone, but they believe in what we are saying here. So here's what I would urge you. Go to patriotmobile.com/Grant. Sign up for a Patriot Mobile phone. Don't give any more money to these woke cell phone companies that are practicing DEI and all this woke ideology. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT. You get free activation. Or you can just call them at 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT. Stop being part of the problem and funding the left and start funding the right by literally paying for services you need, but paying conservative companies to do it. All right, that's where Patriot Mobile comes in. PatriotMobile.com/Grant, 972-PATRIOT. Make sure you tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right. Folks, there's a gentleman in Lono County. I believe it's like 75 miles from Hot Springs, Arkansas. His name is Aaron Spencer. Tuesday night, 1 o'clock in the morning, he calls the police, says, my daughter is missing. She's 14 years old. Now, 14 is an age you could be a runaway. Okay. That doesn't appear to be what the situation was. He reports her daughter missing. This is a little county. He goes in search of her, and somehow he tracks his daughter down. 1 o'clock in the morning, the daughter is in what appears to be a sex offender's car, 67-year-old man. He's charged with doing the same type of thing, internet stalking of minors. Altercation ensues, shots fired, and this dad shoots and kills this 67-year-old man. I got this dad's back. I don't care. I have no tolerance for a 67-year-old man being in a car with a 14-year-old, strangers who have no business being together. No matter what your intentions are, they can't be good. They just can't. That's your daughter. You have one duty as a man, and that is to protect your family, and I believe that's what this man was doing. This was a news report that was filed.
Case of a father who allegedly killed a man he found with his missing 14-year-old daughter.
36-year-old Aaron Spencer was arrested on a preliminary charge of first-degree murder in the death of 67-year-old Michael Fossler. The Lonoke County Sheriff says Fossler was out on bond at the time of the confrontation after being arrested over the summer for internet stalking of a child and sexual assault.
All right, so you see who he's in the car with. Internet stalking and sexual assault of a child. You better believe that I'm going to go after this guy, right? Especially if you're the dad.
Channel 7's Daniela DeHogany has the story.
Aaron Spencer was acting as a father. There's no way that we're going to put the criminals ahead of our kids. Your kids, my kids, they're all our children.
So that, by the way, folks, is the sheriff. And God bless that sheriff. So the sheriff says he's not recommending any charges. The grand jury is going to have to handle it. I believe he was arrested pending charges, the father. But there's no way he's putting the criminal above citizens. This is what I love about states like Arkansas. But why is there even being contemplation that you're going to charge this guy?
An Arkansas father, Aaron Spencer, has been charged with first-degree murder following a shooting incident involving Michael Fossler, a 67-year-old man found with his missing 14-year-old daughter. The Lonoke County Sheriff says they responded to the initial call regarding Fossler in July.
Took a report of an inappropriate relationship, possible sexual misconduct, and we realized that was Cabot jurisdiction. We forwarded that to Cabot detectives. Cabot worked that case. He was subsequently arrested back in July, placed in the Lonoke County Detention Center. The initial charges was rape and internet stalking. And I believe other charges were added, such as child pornography.
Spencer called the Lonoke County Sheriff's Office the night of October 8th, reporting his 14-year-old daughter missing.
Hey, my daughter, I can't find her. She's not in her room. So initial call is a missing juvenile. Tuesday morning, about 1 o'clock in the morning. As we're arriving on scene, we get the second 911 call of a shooting.
While deputies were on their way, Spencer informed them that he found his daughter in a truck with Fossler. This led to a dispute between the two men, ultimately with Spencer fatally shooting Fossler.
And it was just down the road. Deputies arrived, investigators arrived. Mr. Spencer was detained because that was a homicide.
The sheriff says the investigation is still ongoing and is in the hands of the prosecutor.
My investigators have family. They have children. I'm a daddy. In a situation similar to this, I can't tell you I wouldn't act the same way. But now we are the fact finders. We don't file the charges. We supply the information so the prosecutor can make a determination whether it was justified or not.
The sheriff says his thoughts are with both sides of the families, saying that the families of predators often do not know what the individual is up to. On her side, I'm Daniela DeHogany.
All right, so they charge him with first-degree murder. Now, this is bullcorn, man. Jeanette in the Rumble channel says, let that man go. Absolutely, you have to let this man go. And I give big kudos and applause to the sheriff there who says, you know what? If I was in the same situation, I would have done the same thing. Now he's a fact finder. Now, who's the prosecutor in Lonoke County? It's got to be a conservative county in Arkansas, okay? I mean, unless you're in Little Rock, Arkansas is pretty damn red. No jury's going to convict this guy. This guy, the suspect in the case, rape of a child? He's better off gone. Now, this poor guy, this is the dad. The dad now he's out on bond, but he's raising money. I think there's it's not GoFundMe. They shut him down. There's another page out there. He's raising money, and I urge you, if you can help him, help him. But that dad now has a mugshot. So I was listening to what was going on here with all of this, and they're now saying his defense is going to be a crime of passion. Now, I thought to myself, this is Arkansas. Why would you defend it as a crime of passion? You have stand your ground laws in Arkansas. They're very strong laws on the books in favor of gun owners. So I did a little search myself. And in Arkansas, there is justification to use deadly force. Okay? Let me read you the justification for deadly force. A person is justified in using deadly physical force upon another person if the person reasonably believes that the other person is, quote, committing or about to commit a felony involving physical force or violence. Open and shut case. What are you talking about a crime of passion for? You've got a dad whose daughter is in the car with a 67-year-old kidnapper / sex offender / kid rapist with child pornography. I don't care if the 14-year-old allegedly went willingly. She's 14. You don't go willingly with a 67-year-old. At 14, you're a minor. You're not responsible for your actions in this kind of manner. You've got a 67-year-old with this history. 1 o'clock in the morning, your daughter's in there. The only thing a reasonable person would be thinking is, my daughter's in the car with a 67-year-old. If he's going to do something to harm her, sexually molest her. Subchapter 6 of the Criminal Code 52201-622. So this is open and shut to me, folks. Person is justified to use deadly force if they reasonably believe that the person they're using the force against is committing or about to commit a felony involving physical force or violence. Using or about to use unlawful deadly physical force. Immediately endangering the person's life or immediately about to victimize the person from the continuation of a pattern of domestic abuse. So that's a domestic abuse situation. The person is not required to retreat. So this is the stand your ground aspect of this law. You're not required to retreat before using deadly physical force if the person, quote, is lawfully present at the location where the deadly physical force is used. Which means I don't need to retreat if I'm in my house. I don't need to retreat if I'm on a public street because I'm lawfully there. Now, if I break into your house, I cannot use deadly force against you if you pull a gun on me as the homeowner because I'm unlawfully in your house. This dad is lawfully on the street. Any reasonable person would suspect a crime, a felony is about to committed where harm would be used against my daughter. This case is so open and shut. What are they farting around for? Right? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I would say, look, the prosecutor needs to drop these charges right away. End of story, open and shut. Now you've got another situation in Arkansas also. Another guy being arrested that shouldn't be arrested. What is up with the Arkansas prosecutors? This is a guy by the name of Jeremy Sherland. He was arrested for piercing his 16-year-old son, or his son under the age of 16, piercing his ears. Now, apparently the call came in that he held his son down and was drunk when he did it. All right, you can't hold your son down and pierce his ears if he doesn't want his ears pierced, even if he does. When you're drunk, piercing ears is probably not a good idea. So maybe you deserve a talking to. Maybe there's some kind of punishment, but I don't think you deserve this.
For what? Because I said, what are y'all doing?
This, folks, is 4 cops showing up to the man's house, violently arresting him for, you ready for this? Breaking the body art rule of piercing or tattooing anyone under the age of 16 with or without parental consent. You're not allowed to have body art done to you under the age of 16 in the state of Arkansas. But this seems a little excessive.
Why are y'all in my house? Why are you in my house? Guys, I'm asking a question. Why are you for what?
So this goes on. It goes on and on and on.
Body art without a license.
Body art without a license. They're screaming and yelling at him and then drag him out of his house. Are you kidding me? Body art without a license? Really? Like, don't we have bigger things to worry about? We got Tren de Agua taking over apartment complexes. And then I'd offer this up. We have states like California that are literally calling minors in under the age of 16 to get sex change operations without the consent of parents. And you're going to arrest a parent for piercing his son's ears. And if you listen to the son, he basically screams, I wanted my ears pierced.
Really going on here? You got them?
Yes, I got all of it.
Guys, you're in the cameras. This is ridiculous.
That's his wife. And it is ridiculous.
Piercing his son's ear without a license. Takes 3 cops, 4 cops, coming into my house without permission. No permission. They busted in my front door. This is the boy right here. He got a pierced ear by his dad. These cops busted in my door.
Look, they parked all the way around. They didn't want to see him coming.
I wanted my ears pierced.
Cuffs on this boy for nothing.
You hear that?
My door. Busted in the front door.
I wanted my ears pierced.
Cuffs on this boy for nothing.
I wanted my ears pierced. All right, so even if there is a law on this, gosh, you got to use common sense. Why don't you pick up the phone and call and say, hey, listen, we got this situation. We're going to come down and talk to you. Or turn yourself in at the police station. We've got press charges. We got to get to the bottom of you. They said you were drunk. The call came in. You were holding him down. You can't do that to your son. Okay, charge him. But this show is utterly ridiculous. So he ends up being charged with illegal body art of a person under 16, endangering a minor, resisting arrest, and obstructing a government process. Are you freaking kidding me? Obstructing a government process. This is like the January 6th deal all over again. So that is obviously a huge issue there. And this guy needs to be let go. Pay a fine, whatever. Like, you can't hold your son down when you're drunk and pierce the ears. I get it. But we don't need all this. So Arkansas, please, you have got to wake up. Please, Arkansas. All right, I want to tell you, folks, about my friends over at Energized Health. Man, I'm going to tell you what. These guys are great. They have literally changed my life. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. It's about cellular hydration. I always have water with me, but the idea and science behind this hydration and how they get you to a point where you have never been hydrated like this before, and you transform the cells in your body to be receptive to good things and repel the bad things, not to mention you lose weight like crazy. I changed how I eat around. I didn't really change much of what I eat. A few little things here or there, but it's not really a diet. This is a life-changing program, mind, body, soul. They've got everything involved in the Energized Health system to help you succeed, and it's not that hard. No crazy workouts. You're not going to have to kill yourself with working out. You're not going to have to starve yourself either. I lost 15 pounds in 3 weeks, and I was already in pretty good shape. And I like to think I'm still in good shape. That's 55 years old. Come on, guys, right? I mean, not bad. So here's what I want you to do. Go to energizedhealth.com/grant. Learn about cellular hydration. Let them talk to you about what this program can do for you. There's individual coaching. There's daily videos. There's weekly Zoom calls. There's recipes you can get. And then the whole science behind this is patented. It's amazing. And I think the amazingness is in the simplicity of it all. energizedhealth.com/grant. It's about cellular hydration and taking back control of your life. I didn't want to be old and out of shape and gross. If you're really serious about doing something to change it all around, Energized Health can help you. energizedhealth.com/grant. All right. Did anybody see the Al Smith dinner last night? President Trump did such a great job. I mean, he really did. And even the host of this, Jim, whatever the heck his name is, I had never heard of the guy, but I guess he's one of the few clean comics out there. He plays Tim Walz on Saturday Night Live. I guess does a pretty good job of all of that. So they have the Al Smith dinner. Let me first play for you the host, because he started out and I said, okay, maybe this is going to go okay for President Trump. And I want to remind you, this is in New York City. A hall full of elites. Catholics in New York, rich Catholics, tend to be liberal, all right? I know it doesn't make any sense, seeing the Catholic stance on abortion that I agree with, yet none of the liberal Catholics agree with it, yet they're still, I don't know. It boggles my mind how people can call themselves Christian and be a Democrat. Doesn't make any sense, but here's the host for the evening.
Yeah, this has been an interesting presidential campaign. The Democrats have been telling us Trump's reelection is a threat to democracy. In fact, they were so concerned of this threat, they staged a coup, ousted their democratically elected incumbent, and installed Kamala Harris. In other words, all her dreams have come true.
All right, all her dreams have come true. They staged a coup. The party of democracy stages a coup. I thought it was funny and really spot on. In fact, it wasn't even that humorous. It was just true.
22% of Americans identify as Catholic. Catholics will be a key demographic in every battleground state. I'm sorry, why is Vice President Harris not here? I mean, consider this. This is a room full of Catholics and Jews in New York City. This is a layup for the Democratic nominee. I mean, in her defense, she did find time to appear on The View, Howard Stern, Colbert, and the longtime staple of campaigning, the Call Her Daddy podcast. You know what I think it is? I think she doesn't like me.
All right, so here's what's interesting. Jim Gaffigan is the guy's name. He's known as one of the only few clean comics. He's on CNN. I'm going to show you when I talk about the who's who of New York and who's there. If you look at the front row there in front of him, you've got Michael Bloomberg. You got, oh gosh, who is the other guy there? Then you got Ken Langone there, and then who the other one is, I don't know. But Ken Langone, former Home Depot founder, and then right next to Gaffigan on the left is Chuck Schumer, sitting next to, of course, Cardinal Dolan and Donald Trump. So these are some big, heavy, powerful hitters there. Now, President Trump didn't go after Letitia James. Letitia James was there. I had a line for her. He could have said, Letitia James, I know, is here. I didn't see her, but I saw her broom parked out front in the valet line. Ha 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 ha. I thought that would have been funny, but no, he didn't use that one. I could have written the comedy for President Trump. No, probably not. President Trump didn't need me writing his comedy. He wrote his own.
Well, I'd better wrap up because Mayor Adams told me earlier that I needed to make this one very quick, especially the city has reserved this room for a large group of illegal aliens coming in from Texas. That's right. They've reserved many rooms, a lot of rooms, too many rooms.
Reserved a lot of rooms for Texas. Well, of course, he's really not joking. And I think many of the funniest jokes in here is because they're so based in truth, right? This is President Trump talking about white dudes for Kamala Harris.
There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. Every one of those people is voting for me.
Their wives and their lovers voting for President Trump. That's White Dudes for Harris. Yes. Beta males, I'm sure their wives are hungry for an alpha male like President Trump and their lovers. They're good. You know, President Trump admitted, he says, look, I didn't write these lines. He said some of them I wasn't sure if he should read. But overall, he did a great job. And this is what I loved about President Trump. He came off as a likable guy. I mean, he didn't take himself too seriously. He wasn't mean-spirited. He didn't go overboard. He did it literally just perfectly. Even poking fun at Chuck Schumer, but in a way that was, I thought it was funny, and I think Chuck Schumer probably thought it was funny.
Coming in very, very strong, a certain way. I won't tell you what way that is, but Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president.
That's how woke the Democrat Party is. Chuck Schumer can soon become the first woman president. They're good lines. He also talked about how he gave Chuck Schumer his first check when he first started running. Now, President Trump's the only one that could admit that he wrote a check to a radical Democrat like Chuck Schumer, and none of us ultra MAGA folks are even blink an eye at it. But again, it's because President Trump was honest. When you're doing deals in New York City and you're a businessman in New York, you got to pay the piper. And Chuck Schumer was one of the pipers, still is. And so you never know when you need a favor. But if they don't like you, they'll charge you like they did Eric Adams. This is talk about why Kamala Harris was not there.
But if you really wanted Vice President Harris to accept your invitation, I guess you should have told her the funds were going to bail out the looters and rioters in Minneapolis, and she would have been here, guaranteed she would have been here. Guaranteed. She would have been okay. She would have been okay with that.
They didn't like that one, but they liked a lot of them. Something else I noticed here. President Trump got lots of laughs and cheers in this room full of New York liberal elites. That's odd to me. Just as he got laughs and cheers when he was in that economic conference in Chicago, Illinois, which, you know, there were blue state liberals in that room, and he got laughs and cheers. Is this a sign that you have cities like New York and Chicago that are laughing and cheering on President Trump? Could this be a sign of a red wave to come? Maybe. Maybe it could. I don't know. There's a reason why we need a red wave. I don't know if you saw this video, but it's heart-wrenching. These are minors, unaccompanied minors, 57 of them, in a group with over 200 illegals. They were discovered by Texas Department of Public Safety investigators. And you're not going to believe it, but they had papers in them. They believed they were being trafficked, clearly, for either labor or sex. This is the sad reality. They're putting the factories in cities like Los Angeles and New York. And then the sex trafficking is all too very real as well. The children, many of them had pieces of paper with American addresses on them. Many adults with them, but they were not associated with the minors. And then who was leading the group? These three guys. Now, these three guys are from West Africa. Now, you tell me, do these people look like they're from West Africa? No. So why are three mules from West Africa leading in people from South and Central America into the United States? We believe because they're working with the cartels. These are special interest aliens. They're from the country of Mali, which is known to have terrorist ties. Why are they doing this? What is happening? I believe the cartels have become an international sex and labor human trafficking organization, and they are now international. And so that's the reality of the situation that we are in today. And it is honestly, folks, quite frightening because this administration currently is not doing anything to stop it. And it is still a major problem. Do not let them tell you that this is not a problem. It most certainly is a problem. And it still is a problem. They've just diverted the flow of migration through legal ports of entry with this stupid CBP app, which means they're letting in all the illegals without being vetted. And then American citizens are being killed because of it. Folks, before I let you go, let me just remind you about my friends over at the Wellness Company. TWC.health/grant. This is where you get those kits. Prescription medications in here. 8 of the most needed ones, including ivermectin. This will save a life. I have so much in my home in case of an emergency. I have water supply. I have a food supply. It lasts me months, by the way. I have ammunition that could literally supply an army, the thousands and thousands of rounds of ammunition I have. And now I also have prescription medication. So important. TWC.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. Do that today. This is about the health, safety, and well-being of your family, making sure you're prepared if drugstores close down. TWC.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. The email list, we're hyping it up. GrantStinchfield.com. Go sign up for an email there. Brian on Rumble, Grant is the man's man. I appreciate you, Brian. I am your man, okay? This is what I am. I just literally, I'm the voice of all of you. All right? I'm the one. You send me tips, send me ideas. We'll talk about it, okay? We'll talk about anything. We're unafraid. We're bold. I don't have my Unafraid shirt on, which I love, for my buddy Eddie Penny. I've got my Come and Take It shirt on. But I'm here for you. That's really what this show is about. I want it to be your show. It's like a family. I call it Stinchfield's Army for a reason. And Andrew Seck says, thanks for all you do, MAGA. I would throw it back at you, Andrew. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for being here and watching. And with that, I would urge everybody that watches, take this and spread it. Spread the podcast. Spread what I say simply through your mouth, all right? If we're talking about things here, even talk about these stories, you know, like the Arkansas man who's been arrested for shooting and killing his daughter's abductor. You got to tell these stories to liberals, okay? Tell the story of a guy who was arrested with 4 cops to liberals. That this is not the country we want to live in. We want to have common sense. Even that's Arkansas, okay? And the fact that it's Arkansas may play better with them because they'll think of it as a red state. Talk about the Al Smith dinner and how endearing President Trump was. Talk about how, do you know, here's the tip. The one story I want all of you to tell. Do you know President Trump could come up with 3 good things to say about Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris couldn't come up with anything nice to say about President Trump. That is a sign of character and grace. Kamala Harris doesn't have it. President Trump does. That's the cliff notes for this show today. All of it can be spread through clips from the show or simply you going and telling your friends. Either way, I'm okay. I just want the word spread. God bless all of you. Again, GrantStinchfield.com, GrantStinchfield.com. Sign up for the email list there. We'll see you on a Real America's Voice show tonight. Trump rally time. So we're going to have a special show. Me and John Solomon starting at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Is that right? No. starting at 6 o'clock Eastern time, an hour early from my normal show. 6 o'clock Eastern time, I'm with John Solomon. Trump rally tonight. It'll be fun as we head into the weekend. What is it, 18 days now, something like that, to Election Day? Man, let's put the pedal to the metal and make it happen. All right, again, Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thanks to all of you folks. We will see you tonight on Real America's Voice.